Welcome to Out of the Blue number 469.5. Um, I'm going to do a couple on the subject of water in the afterlife. And I'm going to start with Muros, the book I read from Rebecca Ruter Springer. I'm on page 56. She says, "My first impulse on daily arousing from happy, blissful rest was to hasten to the river of life and plunge into its wonderful waters. So refreshing, so invigorating, so inspiring. With a heart full of thanksgiving and lips full of joyful praise, morning after morning, sometimes in company with my brother, sometimes alone, I hastened thither, returning always full of new life and hope and purpose to our home, where for a time each day I listened to the entrancing revelations and instructions of my brother. One morning, soon after returning from my first visit to earth, as I was on the way to the river, my voice joined to the wonderful anthem of praise everywhere sounding. I saw a lovely young girl approaching me swiftly with outstretched arms." Let me read that sentence again. "One morning, soon after my return from my first earth visit, as I was on the way to the river, my voice joined to the wonderful anthem of praise everywhere sounding. I saw a lovely girl approaching me swiftly with outstretched arms. 'Dear, dear Aunt Bertha,' she called as she drew near. 'Do you not know me?' 'My little May,' I cried, gathering the dainty creature into my arms. 'Where did you spring from so suddenly, dear? Let me look at you again,' holding her a moment at arm's length, only to draw her again tenderly to me. 'You have grown very beautiful, my child. I may say this to you here without fear, I am sure. You are always lovely. You are simply radiant now. Is it this divine life?' 'Yes,' she said modestly and sweetly, 'but most of all, the being near the Savior so much.'" Okay, I'm going to take a little pause for the cause here, because I want to explain this map that I have in another one of these books of the afterlife. And in the map, we're on Earth, and then you die, you go into the spirit lands, and there's 7 layers. And seventh heaven is the 7th layer, and where we go is generally the first 2 layers. Or if you're extra special, you go to the 3rd layer, which is called Summerland, and you read about Summerland in other places. But the first 2 layers are within religious traditions. Okay, so you in the astral realm most likely are going to die into an afterlife experience that matches your faith or lack thereof, right? Like whatever it is you really believe. And if you're so anyway, what I'm getting at is that this woman is writing from a Protestant perspective, and she is in a Protestant afterlife. She not only, even prominent Protestant preachers are in this afterlife. I'm going to read this book in its entirety. I think starting with number 470. Because I read the back cover today, and it's kind of interesting, and I read the preface today, and that's interesting. So I think I might just read this book from cover to cover. But I also want to put it into perspective in this whole worldview that I'm talking about, and which is more based on the J. Hewitt Mackenzie map. Which, by the way, if you're just first hearing about me and this, J. Hewitt Mackenzie's Spirit Intercourse has a map in it, and you can. This book is from 1916, 17, 18, And so you can find facsimile versions online. J. Hewitt Mackenzie, Spirit Intercourse, has a map of the spirit lands, and quite curiously, they are the same dimensions as the Van Allen belts. Now, this is a mystery that I discovered. I didn't know when I started this series that I was going to discover this. But the map in the J. Hewitt Mackenzie book, which I've been referencing since the very first episode, that map of the spirit realms matches in size, in numbers. That book has actual miles above Earth. He says, the seventh heaven is this many miles above Earth, and the first heaven is this many miles above Earth. The map has actual miles in it. So you can look this up for yourself. Find a facsimile version online and turn to the map and look at it, and then open the page on the Van Allen belt somewhere else and compare the two and tell me how that happened. So anyway, within his map, your religious specific type experiences happen on the first two layers of heaven. And then everybody, whatever your background or faith is, graduates to the upper levels where we're all just one big family. So I'm saying this because she's very Protestant. And so she's writing from a Protestant perspective and also describing a Protestant place. And so when she talks about how beautiful it is and how much sunshine there is and how the lakes and the waters and the mountains and the this and that, it's basically the third, it's basically Summerland or below. So it's Summerland, which is the third layer of heaven, or it's below there. So this is generally Summerland, but in fact it's so strictly Protestant that I would say that the actual Summerland is even better than this. So this is a step below. If I want to fit this narrative into the J. Hewitt Mackenzie map, this is one level below Summerland. So Summerland is a little bit better than this. Okay, so I assume that she fits in the second realm of heaven because her depiction is so very Protestant, and that after however many years there, everybody will graduate to Summerland, which is even greater than this. So I said all that because she gets real saviory here, and I want to just put it within the larger context that I'm talking about. So anyway, she just ran, so I'll go back here. Dear Aunt Bertha, this other person calls, as she drew near, do you not know me? My little May, I cried, gathering the dainty creature into my arms. Where did you spring from so suddenly, dear? Let me look at you again, holding her a moment at arm's length, only to draw her again tenderly to me. You have grown very beautiful, my child. I may say this to you here without fear, I am sure. You were always lovely. You are simply radiant now. Is it this divine life? Yes, she said modestly and sweetly, but most of all it is being near the Savior so much. Because, as an aside, you can go hang out. In the heaven she's in, you can go hang out with Jesus, the Savior. And she does in this book. She describes it. Anyway, so, yes, she said modestly and sweetly, but most of all it is being near the Savior so much. Ah, yes, that is it. The being near him. That will make any being radiant and beautiful, I said. He is so good to me, so generous, so tender. He seems to forget how little I have done to deserve his care. He knows you love him, dear heart. That means everything to him. Love him? Oh, if loving him deserves reward, I am sure I ought to have every wish of my heart, for I love him 1,000-fold better than anything in earth or heaven. I would die for him. The sweet face grew surpassingly radiant and beautiful as she talked, and I began to dimly understand the wonderful power of Christ among the redeemed in heaven. This dear child, so lovely in all mortal graces, so full of earth's keenest enjoyments during the whole of her brief life, pure and good as we count goodness below, yet seemingly too absorbed in life's gaieties to think deeply of the things she yet in her heart revered and honored, now in this blessed life counted the privilege of loving Christ, of being near him beyond every other joy. And how that love refined, turn the page, and how that love refined and beautified the giver. As a great earthly love always shines through the face and elevates the whole character of the one who loves, so this divine love uplifts and glorifies the giver, until not only the face but the entire person radiates the glory that fills the heart. "Come with me to the river, May," I said presently, after we talked together for some time. "Come with me for a delightful plunge." "Gladly," she said, "but have you ever been to the lake or the sea?" "The lake or the sea?" I echoed. "No, indeed. Are there lake and sea here?" "Certainly there are," said May, with a little pardonable pride that she should know more of the heavenly surroundings than I. "Shall we go to the lake today and leave the sea for another day? Which shall it be?" "Let it be the lake today," I said. So, turning in an entirely different direction from the path that led to the river, we walked joyously on, still talking as we went. So much to ask, so much to recall, so much to look forward to with joy. Once she turned to me and asked quickly, when is my Uncle Will coming?" My hand closed tightly over hers, and a sob almost rose in my throat, though I answered calmly, "That is in God's hands alone. We may not question." "Yes, I know. His will is always right. But I so long to see my dear uncle again, as to long is not to repine." She had grown so womanly, so wise, this child of tender years since we parted, that it was a joy to talk with her. I told her my sad errand to earth and the sorrow of the dear ones I left. Yes, I know it all," she whispered, with her soft arms about me. But it will not be long to wait. They will come soon. It never seems long to wait for anything here. There is always so much to keep one busy, so many pleasant duties, so many joys. Oh, it will not be long. Thus she cheered and comforted me as we walked through the ever-varying and always perfect landscape. At length she cried, lifting her arms and pointing with her rosy finger, "Behold, is it not divinely beautiful?" I caught my breath, then stopped abruptly and covered my face with my hands to shield my eyes from the glorified scene. No wonder my brother had not sooner brought me to this place. I was scarcely yet spiritually strong enough to look upon it. When I again slowly lifted my head, May was standing like one entranced. The golden morning light rested upon her face and mingled with the radiance that had birth within. The golden morning light rested upon her face, and, mingling with the radiance that had birth within, almost transfigured her. Even she, so long an inhabitant here, had not yet grown accustomed to its glory. "Look, darling auntie, it is God's will that you should see," she softly whispered. Well, I'm going to limit this to 15 minutes, so I want to point out again that this is also this night and day that she experiences. This also suggests that she's in the second heaven. And so the third heaven is even better than this. and it just starting to get good. So I'll continue this in the next episode. Thanks. See you. Bye.